Hello. Well, we all know that a lot of the production on our media platforms, like the television companies and even the cinema companies, a lot of it is just rubbish. And if you remember, in a previous video, I ran a reel of stills from various movies, and people did remark how much they liked to see those pictures. And I was just thinking that if you feel that you want to watch some quality entertainment, for instance, old films or BBC productions, you'd better watch them now and quickly before they are got at. We all knew that the BBC... Remember, I'm Granny Opterix. I'm on YouTube. I'm on Rumble, BitChute and Minds. And I want you to remember to check your subscription, especially if you're on YouTube, because people seem to get unsubscribed rather often without realising it. And make sure you're subscribed and share. That's it. Right. Thank you. Oh, and help support this channel. It does help if I earn a little money as well. Now, what was I saying? Yes, I was saying that you'd better watch all these quality shows, both in film and on the television, the old television shows, as quickly as you can, because they might not last very long. We all know the BBC used to be a pretty good broadcaster, and it could put out in its day a set of interesting, quirky and unusual shows, many experimental, and they could do that because they didn't have to worry about the notoriously conservative advertising companies breathing down their necks. Oh, how I laughed about the anodyne blandness of American TV. It was good for a laugh. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't that thoughtful or that gritty. You only have to see how the acerbic, biting and vicious British comedy show Till Death Us Do Part morphed into the American sitcom All in the Family, which was all very nice in its way, but it had none of the punch of Till Death, and certainly none of the language. And you'd see the difference straight away. But now the suffocation is not from advertisers, but from within the BBC itself, and also ITV, all the other channels. They're all going the same way. I doubt they'd even consider broadcasting something like Till Death Us Do Part now, even as an archived piece of programming, but they have found a way to put out the others, among them Dad's Army and Steptoe and Son, with a little bit of discreet and secret censorship before doing so. It may not have escaped your attention that the BBC has gone off somewhat in the past few years, preferring woke to wit and sermonising to satire, and now it looks like they're trying to pull that stunt on all their historical output, whether it's because they don't want to offend people or because they just don't want people to see the difference. I cannot say. But as I said, the stuff that can be trimmed without reducing the whole thing to just playing the opening and the closing credits, they're getting their little scissors at it, or their digital scissors anyway, and have started cutting scenes and words from old TV shows to bring them into line with their current philosophy. So they've also, in the words of the Telegraph, purged mention of people like Jimmy Savile and Rolf Harris. And here's the article. BBC makes woke cuts to archives, including Dad's Army. The broadcaster has purged a number of racist and misogynistic jokes, as well as mention of disgraced stars Jimmy Savile and Rolf Harris. The BBC oh gosh, here, Now I want to make this a bit bigger. The BBC has purged, mentioned, oh, they've done it again, and anonymous. You see, this had to be anonymous. What do you think of that? To let the secret out. An anonymous Radio 4 extra listener discovered the BBC has been quietly editing repeats of shows over the past few years to be more in keeping with social mores, the Times reported, labelling them as woke cuts. The listener found edits had been made to old episodes of Dad's Army, Steptoe and Son, and I'm sorry, I'll read that again. I'm sorry, I'll read that again. Oh, for goodness sake. And that was the most surreal comedy show on radio up until that time. Yeah, I'm sure it was. And nothing in there is to be taken seriously. Oh, in some cases, entire sketches had been removed. For example, a repeat of a 1970 episode of I'm Sorry, I'll Read That Again. Oh, that show used to make my week worth sticking around for, you know. Starring John Cleese and Bill Oddie, had a joke about a scantily clad woman removed. Ah, so her scantily cladding was removed, was it? Maybe at some point in the future I'll cut that joke as well. In the original broadcast, Cleese, impersonating a BBC spokesman, said, "We have noticed that it is possible to see right up the girls' knickers owing to the shortness of their miniskirts. So we've asked the girls to drop them." Now, honestly, what's wrong with that? That's not misogynistic. That says a lot more about the people who are saying it than the girls. The BBC also stripped a mention of the N-word from a 1972 episode of the Ronnie Barker sketch show, Lines from My Grandfather's Forehead. Oh, if you can find any of those scripts, shows on the air, they are so funny, so clever. Ronnie Barker was a real genius, and if he used the N-word, then it was for comedic effect and nothing else. And it was probably saying something awful about the person who was saying it, because Ronnie Barker was not in any way unpleasantly inclined. Oh dear. In a sketch from 1970, David Hatch adopted an Indian accent and was described as being browned off. The skit was removed. Other deleted sketches included a spoof of Harris's songs titled Rolf Harris's Dirty Songbook. Well, yeah, maybe that was more appropriate at the time than anyone realised. A spokesman for the BBC said, "Listeners enjoy a huge number of old comedies from the archives on 4 Extra, and on occasion we edit some episodes, but they don't say they do. We edit some episodes so they're suitable for broadcast today, including removing racially offensive language and stereotypes from decades ago, as the vast majority of our audience would expect." Well, actually, I don't think they would. You would. But then you're the sort of people who thought that Brexit would never happen and that Corbyn was going to win the election, aren't you? Which shows you how well you read your audience. Okay, I can understand them worrying that some people might find some things offensive, and they might be thinking about being polite and reducing their shows to pap in order to accommodate such an audience. But instead of telling people and then giving them a choice about which version they want to hear, they just remove the stuff in secret. So it's not what the viewers want, but what they've decided. And you know what? It won't stop there, because bit by bit there'll be more and more things that will potentially offend the ever-growing cohort of the permanently affronted. And then, well, there'll be nothing left, will there? Which is, you know, one of the Carry On films featured a creature that an explorer found called the Uzalem bird. And the thing about the Uzalem bird was that every so often it would, as they put it, disappear up its... And one of the characters had this bird in a cage, and when the cage was finally uncovered, the bird had disappeared. Yes, it had indeed disappeared up its own, which the BBC seems determined to do. I don't know though. Unlike one of their recent shows, that might be quite interesting to see. Why not treat yourself or a favoured relative or friend to these magnificent examples of merch? The mugs and t-shirts come in the Graniopteryx design or Granbow with a firearm or the more deadly knitting needles. Go to www.graniopteryx.com and whatever platform you're watching this on, please click like, subscribe and share.